Okay, welcome to the video. Let's talk about the Z1 Analyzer and the Open Lap Dialog in version 2022.2. This has been completely redesigned to make it up to the new look and feel and to add new features such as the Suggest Lap button, making it easier to find laps, and also the pre-scan feature. So if you are running the Z1 dashboard or the Z1 server, after you finish your session, you can open the analyzer and it will immediately say, okay, you just ran those laps, let's go open them so you can see how you did. So in this video, we're going to talk about all that and how you open laps in the Z1 Analyzer and how you can easily find other laps to compare yourself against and improve. And that's what it's all about. Basically, you want to use the analyzer to become a better driver, a faster driver, and move up the grid and win more races. So let's get started. So here we are in the Z1 Analyzer. If you had just run some laps at a track and you had the Z1 dashboard or the Z1 server open recording your data, then you would actually get a pop-up right here saying you just ran laps at this track, do you want to open them? And that would take you directly to the Open Lap Dialog with those laps that you just ran displayed there ready to be opened. To open it manually, which is what we're going to do, we go to the File and then Open Lap. Let's put this over here. So this is the Open Lap Dialog in version 2022.2 of the Analyzer. It's been updated to the latest look and feel with new features added, made simpler to use in general. So it's divided into 4 sections and we'll go through each of those. The first one is this top section up here in green. It has various options that you can use to determine what actually gets displayed in the Open Lap Dialog below. They all have tooltips like this explaining what they do, but we'll just go through all of them. So the first is the share laps. Basically, you want to leave this checked. If you don't check this, then you are not able to download any laps from other drivers because you're not sharing yours. So that's what that does. Include server tracks. This will display the list of tracks for any track that we have a lap for on the server, regardless of whether you have driven it. So if you turn this off, for example, now I've only driven on 74 tracks, so I get a 74. But if I turn it on, now I have 308 different tracks I can download for. So the point of this is that if you haven't driven a track, you might still want to be able to download a lap and look at it and see, how do I go about approaching this track for when I actually do go and drive it. So that's why you can choose this option if you want. The next is the sort by cars first. So we have all these various sort options here, and if you include this, then the first sort option always is the car and then everything else. So if you look down here on the laps from other drivers, we have these lap times, and they're sorting first by the car and then the lap time. If I turn this off, now we just sort by whatever the fastest lap time is. So I'm going to turn this back on because I find that a good option to have, sort of keeps things organized for me. Then we have create custom channels. This is a pro license only option, but if you have a file that has custom channels embedded in it, and this might be from another user or it could be from an iRacing IBT file, this will automatically create the custom channel in the analyzer and load that data in so you can view it. And this can be quite useful if you want to look at all the extra little bits in the IBT, or like I said, if there's somebody else who has put custom channels into a Z1 Analyzer data file. And then finally there's rescan laps. So this opens the lap scan dialog and will then allow you to do a lap scan. If you have the pre-scan option on in the dashboard and the server, you probably don't need to do this, but there is an option in case you do want to make sure you're getting all the files. Okay, the next section here is where you select the sim you're interested in and the track. So you have all the sims that you can possibly choose from. So I'm going to choose iRacing and then all the laps. I'm actually going to choose Imola here. And that obviously controls what is displayed in these sections. So the next 2 sections are laps by you and laps by other drivers. So here we show all the laps that I have driven in iRacing at Imola, and then all the other laps from other drivers that I can download and compare myself against. So obviously there are a lot of laps here, over 3,500. By default, we don't load them in all at once. We just load in a certain number. So right now I'm looking at 500 of them. But you can change this by right-clicking and choosing get the laps in groups of, and then what number do you want? Do you want to do 250? Do you want to do 500 or 1,000? And then if you scroll down and you get to the bottom of the list and there are more laps, those additional laps will then be loaded in groups of whatever this number is, 250, 500, or 1,000. So you can adjust that based on your internet connection speed. So within these sections, you can filter what laps you're going to see. Obviously for me right now, I only have 4 laps. I don't really need to filter anything. I can, if I want to, I can filter by the car type or dates. But the other driver section, you definitely, most of the time, you're going to want to filter it. So you can filter by a driver name, a car type, or the date. So we'll look at the drivers. The cars are pretty similar to the drivers. So you get a list here of drivers. And we only show the first 20. If you want to see all of them, you have to click the full list of drivers. But you can select somebody from here. So if you just want to choose this first person, you can just click their name, and only drivers from that person, only laps from that person will show up. But if you want to see somebody who's not in this list, you can go to the View Full List of Drivers. So I click on that, and I get this dialog right here, which is showing me all the drivers. There are 246 at the moment. So you can select all of them, you can select none of them, or you can choose which drivers you're interested in and scroll down to see the whole list. So I've selected 3, so if I click OK, I will get laps from those 3 drivers. And you'll see on the right here that it says there is an applied filter of drivers. In addition to the just selecting those drivers, if I go to the full list, there's a favorite option here. So let's say I'll go back and just select everybody. I can click these stars icons and make these drivers what are considered to be favorite drivers. So I've selected these 3, I click OK, and now when I go to drivers, I have a favorite list, and these people will always be here. So it allows a shortcut to choose certain drivers, and these drivers are saved. So the next time I open the analyzer, they will still be here. So if there are drivers you work with all the time, this is a good place to put them. Or if they're, again, in cars, the same kind of concept, you can have a favorite car list and have those show up over there. So it's a quick way to choose what you want to have displayed. And of course, sometimes you want to clear those filters. So right now we don't have a filter applied, but let's say we did. Say we chose that driver, and then we also chose another type of car, this car. And so now we have drivers and car filter, but there's nothing that matches. So I just right click and choose clear all filters. And that's also the same up here, clear all filters, in case you would put a filter on the local app section. So next, let's look at a really important feature which has been added in this version, which is suggest laps, this button here. So right now I have 1 lap loaded in the analyzer. It's this one. You can see the little orange hash next to it shows this is loaded. This is my main lap, and it's the 204. So the point of all this is you want to be able to choose a lap that is fast enough for you to learn from, but not too fast. But there's tons of them here. We have thousands of laps, and you don't just want to scroll through them finding it. So if you click this Suggest Laps button, you will get a couple of laps which are a few seconds faster than what your lap has done. And the idea behind this is that if there's a lap which is 1, 2, or 3 seconds faster than you, that's an achievable goal. I could improve from a 204 to basically a 202 by looking at another lap and seeing, okay, well they're faster here, they're doing this differently. So that's my goal. It's not really useful to look at some world champion lap that is like 5 or 10 seconds faster than me, because I'm just never going to be able to get there in one step. It's too big of a jump. You want to start here. So this allows you to easily find laps which are a bit faster. And once you've improved, you do the same thing. You open the lap again, click Suggest Lap, and you'll get another one which is, again, a little bit faster. So that's the best way to improve, is looking at laps like this. And that's what the Suggest button does. It shows you those laps which are a bit faster. So now if I want to open a lap, all I have to do is I can double click it. So if I want to open one of these laps, this suggested lap, I just double click the lap and it downloads it, and now it's displayed in here, this one right here, this 201.9. And I can see where I'm gaining time or losing time, pretty much losing time everywhere, but that's the point of loading a faster lap, is to see where you're gaining or losing time and how you can be better. But going back to the Open Lap Dialog again, We can open multiple laps at once in the Your Lap section. So I can do this by clicking and holding the Shift key down, or I can do it by holding the Control key down and selecting certain laps. So say if I want to have this lap and this lap, I just hold the Control key down and double click the last lap, and it loads in both of those laps. Another way you can open a lap is to right click on it and choose Open Lap, or you can open it as a left or right edge if you're creating track edges. So one thing to note about the Shift and the Control to open multiple laps is it's only intended for the Your Lap section. When you're downloading a lap, you can only download one lap at a time. And finally, if you want, you can use keyboards. So you can use the up and down arrow to select a lap, and then if you get to the end of the laps in your section, it jumps down to the other drivers and then back up again. And if I want to open this lap that I have highlighted, then I just hit the Enter button and it will open that lap. So that's the new Open Lap Dialog in version 2022.2 of the Z1 Analyzer. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Remember, the Suggest Lap button is a fantastic new feature which you can use to get those laps which are slightly faster than you. And that's what we want. We want to help you improve, become a faster driver, and win more races. And that's what the Z1 Analyzer is all about. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll have more videos coming soon. We're going to be talking about scatter plots, histograms, printing, custom channels, math channels, all that sort of stuff.